Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we're finally getting a dedicated children's hospital, but do we actually have the pipeline of medical professionals to staff it? Plus, we explain why everybody's hating on the Golden Knights, why downtown Fremont just got a whole lot healthier, and in our members-only bonus segment, we dive into NV Energy's newly revealed long-term energy plan and why every Las Vegan should be paying attention to it. It's Friday, May 22nd. I'm Jesse Merrick, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. All right, today we're joined by our newsletter editor, Rob Kachelriess, and our executive producer, Layla Muhammad. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's kick this thing off and dive into something really cool that's coming to Las Vegas. Sounds like we're getting our first children's hospital, our first dedicated children's hospital, Layla.
Yeah, so this week, Clark County commissioners approved plans for the first standalone children's hospital. So people will be familiar with Sunrise Children's Hospital. That's a part of that larger hospital. But the hospital was announced in 2024 by Intermountain Health and will cost about $1 billion. Intermountain Health is the largest nonprofit healthcare system in the Intermountain West region, which I didn't know what that region was, but it covers Utah, Idaho, Nevada, Colorado, Montana, and Wyoming.
Hey, that's us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Intermountain Health is based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, though. It will be located in the southwest part of the valley in UNLV's Harry Reid Research and Technology Park, and it will have 150 beds and create nearly 12,000 jobs. This fills a gap in the pediatric care system in Las Vegas and wider in southern Nevada. In Nevada fully, we have 271 pediatricians to 640,000 children up to the age of 18.
That's not a good ratio, is it?
No, not at all. That's that ratio is double what California has. Las Vegas is the largest city in the country without a standalone children's hospital.
That's just not okay.
Yeah, exactly. So this hospital, in comparison to Sunrise Children's Hospital, that hospital has 110 specialized pediatric beds. That's across their NICU unit, their pediatric intensive care unit, and their pediatric cardio intensive unit. And the standalone children's hospital has not announced a groundbreaking yet, but it's expected to be completed by 2030.
Yeah, so good news. I guess it's in the pipeline. As I was researching for this one, I found something crazy about the number of pediatricians that we have. We essentially have one pediatrician for like the size of an entire football stadium packed with fans to cover our kids, which is just not okay. And also, too, the RJ had a report that about 20,000 children have to leave Nevada for complex healthcare because we don't have this. So, like, it's a huge need, but why has it taken so long, I guess, to get this?
I was just going to say, I kind of love that Jesse can always bring any topic back to a sports reference.
Yeah, gotta try, bring those
thumbs
in.
up for that. I also want to point out that the last time the three of us were on an episode together, we decided that the Southwest Valley is right to be the next arts district. So now, not only that, but we have a children's hospital coming to this part of town. But this is something people have been talking about for a long time. I know the need for a children's hospital was a major topic in the last mayor's race. Both candidates were talking about their credentials on wanting to bring a new children's hospital to town. I mean, every hospital will, do what they can for kids when they come in. But right now, it's really Sunrise Hospital that's the main pediatric hospital in Las Vegas. They're not exclusively one, but now that we're getting one, that's really a sign of how much our valley's developing and how much this is needed.
Yeah, exactly. And on your point of development, Rob, not having a children's hospital makes it harder to compete with other regions for businesses, actually, because when they see that we don't have a children's hospital, when they see that we're lacking healthcare specialists and specialized pediatric care, they choose maybe Phoenix or Salt Lake City in Utah to bring their businesses to instead of Las Vegas. So I think this also helps us on the development standpoint and diversifying our economy, because this hospital is also projected to bring in millions of dollars as well. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were going to choose a place to live based on the number of day clubs, Vegas would be number one.
Yeah, we gotta be there.
But if you're looking at resources for families, children's hospital care, and to some degree schools, you may have to think twice. And this is just part of the growing pains of Vegas being a developing community in the United States that's growing at such a rapid pace.
Probably 10 years ago, Sunrise Hospital maybe covered us well enough, but there also hasn't been the political will to finance something like this. But in 2023, there was a bill passed that implemented a provider tax that added about $800 million back into our hospital system. And Larry Bernard, who is with Intermountain Health, did a interview with KNPR and said that's one of the reasons that they're able to fund a children's hospital.
Yeah, I think a big part of that, too, is being able to afford quality professionals to work at these hospitals.
Yes.
A big problem that Vegas has had is maybe we have some doctors or other professionals who come up through the system, they learn, they do their residencies, but then they end up taking jobs out of state. So I know that's been a big push at UNLV and the healthcare system just to make sure the professionals who are here in Vegas and learning in Vegas stay in Vegas. What happens in Vegas should stay in Vegas. That's the new tagline.
Exactly. Way to tie that one back in, Rob. Yeah, we need to find a way to keep them here. And also, to the families. Again, so many families have had to leave. Could you imagine dealing with a child who's going through something like this and you're like, well, okay, now we also have to move. Moving sucks at any stage, let alone when you have a kid going through something like this. So,
well, also imagine you're in a part of town like the Northwest Valley, which is another fast-growing part of the valley. You have Centennial Hills, and your child needs some specialized care. The drive between that part of town and Sunrise, which is Flamingo in Maryland, that's quite a bit of distance. So we really do need to expand the resources so children can get the care they need quickly and efficiently.
Definitely. And Rob, to your point earlier, too, about keeping those medical professionals here, you know, it's obviously going to be big time in terms of building residencies and fellowship programs to kind of help support the fact that we're going to need about like 200 to 300 physicians. That's not including advanced practice providers and physicians, assistants, and nurses and all that stuff. So a lot of people are going to need to be, you know, coming in on the medical side to be able to get this thing rolling. So I guess how do we kind of kick that into gear and really make sure we're ready for 2030?
I think we should give them more nurse and doctor discounts.
Yeah, there you go.
How about that? You go to the casino and maybe you get a few extra points on your rewards card. That's my plan.
I feel like UNLV's medical school opening in 2017, hopefully a children's hospital will help those doctors and those future doctors stay in Las Vegas and continue their practice here and give them more opportunity to find jobs and fill the gap where we're seeing between providers and patients, especially in children's care.
It's just a benefit all around. Keep more smart people here, keep kids healthy. I mean, it's that simple, and it's going to inject a ton of money. Layla, to your point earlier about what Phoenix generates, it brings in about $3 billion to their local economy each year, which is just insane. Now, they do have 350 plus beds, and I think you had said we're going for about 150, right?
Yeah, so in comparison, it's small, but this is just starting off. Hopefully they expand and, you know, can move the needle a little bit in our ridiculously low rankings for healthcare systems. We rank 46th, according to Commonwealth Fund, in overall state healthcare system performance, and dead last, according to West Health Gallup 2025 healthcare scorecard. So I think a dedicated children's hospital will hopefully move the needle there.
Speaking of doing good in the community, the Golden Knights, when they showed up, they did just that. But it seems like folks around the country don't recognize that and are hating on the Golden Knights. What's going on in there, Rob?
Well, let's talk about this. So there's a website called RotoWire. I guess they're a legit sports website. Are they, Jesse? You tell me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're the real deal.
All right. So they did a study of hardcore hockey fans, not quite a survey, but a study to rank the most hated team in the NHL. And not only did the Vegas Golden Knights make the list, they were number one.
Yikes.
So to give you an idea of how this study panned out, there's 32 teams in the NHL, I believe.
Yeah, now there is, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of teams. 14 were identified as hated. And Vegas was number one, hated in 11 states.
That's crazy. That's a lot.
Yeah. And if you look at the states that these 11 states, some of them make sense, like California. I could see the rivalry there.
The Kings and the Sharks as well. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Hawaii is on the list.
Yeah.
Why does Hawaii hate us? we're
How
the
many
ninth
hockey
island.
fans are in Hawaii? Like, come on.
Probably, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a low ratio, and it's like the 2 hockey fans both said, forget Vegas. But we're the ninth island. I think they should love us. And this kind of surprised me because I kind of thought of the Knights as everyone's kind of second favorite team. You know, we came around during a tough time in our community in 2017. We did well straight out of the gate, underdog team. I thought people were getting behind us and cheering us on. Apparently not. Apparently they hate us.
No.
But it's a good time to be a Golden Knight. So, you know, the Vegas Knights, we came out of the gate real strong, got to the Stanley Cup in our first season, won the whole thing in 2023, and we've pretty much been in the mix ever since. So, you know, sometimes success breeds resentment.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, they've won the Pacific Division 6 times. Teams don't typically do that early on. Yeah, like that's a lot, you know, 6 times in 9 years. So that's a lot of success there. And then again, obviously, Rob, you laid out the fact that they went to the Stanley Cup final in year 1, obviously won it a few years ago, and now they're in the mix of a playoff race. So that brings me to kind of think that it's probably a lot of hate, right, Layla? Not necessarily like, you know, more so jealousy, I guess, than anything else that other people are feeling.
Yeah, hate, jealousy. I also wonder if part of this is, do we have an actual hockey culture in Las Vegas? Or are we just a city that has great entertainment? And the Knights kind of benefit from that. Because I think about when people were opposed when Carter Hart was added to the team, there was a lot of reports from Canada about it. And there was like a small group of locals who also protested it. But I don't feel like a lot of people really cared that much in Las Vegas because we don't have like the hockey culture that Canada and other cities have. We're just kind of like, okay, well, another person was added onto the team. Let's just keep going to a great Golden Knights show and a great Golden Knights like performance.
Layla, are you trying to say that the Wranglers weren't endeared by the community?
The Wranglers was our was our hockey team before.
Yeah, they're a minor league team, yeah.
Yeah, you might have remembered
Rob,
them. They played at the Orleans
I don't even
Arena.
know what our minor league hockey team's name was.
You just proved her point there, Rob, though. See, you just proved her point.
No, I do think we do have a hockey culture here, maybe in the sense of it's uniquely Las Vegas, because the Knights did prove that major league sports can work in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They were a success straight out of the gate. And you see people here who really love the team because it's our own team. They didn't come from somewhere else like the Raiders and the baseball team that I'm not going to name just because I don't want to. The Knights are one of our own. And, you know, we do kind of jazz it up a little bit with some Vegas style. We got the Dragon. We got the $45 beers. So maybe that's another reason people kind of resent Vegas.
Yeah, and I know that since the Knights have been here, like they have been doing community outreach. More kids are getting into hockey in the community, which is great. But I still don't know if we just have that baked in hockey culture where where the whole community is going to be in an uproar about a decision like Carter Hart being added to the team like they were in Canada or in other markets. I feel like we just like them because they're a good team and they put on a good show.
To that point, though, to kind of defend you there a little bit, Layla, like when I was a sports reporter, I'm in this locker room talking to these guys. Max Pacioretty used to be a forward for the Golden Knights, and he said at one point, even though like he and this whole team, they all love Golden Knights fans, he at one point said, I think there's a lot of Golden Knights fans in Vegas, but not a lot of hockey fans in Vegas. And that's what I think a lot of people outside of Vegas really hate on the Knights fans for, is because they think, well, you're only a Knights fan. You didn't care about hockey before. That's painting a very, broad stroke there. But I think that's one of the main criticisms for a lot of folks outside of it. Also, too, so I used to work in Alabama, which is about an hour and a half south of Nashville, which was another expansion team. So I know a lot of Predators fans. And a bunch of them were really mad because the NHL changed the expansion rules and stuff like that. And they felt that they made it easier on the Golden Knights to be better, faster, essentially. And long story short, like, they're hating on the Knights for taking advantage of the rules that the NHL made. So I've always made the case that, like, don't hate on the Golden Knights or their fans, hate on the NHL. And at the end of the day, too, the Golden Knights just took advantage of the rules because other teams didn't know what they were going to do. So the Golden Knights were able to take a bunch of other guys that they likely wouldn't have landed and build a much better team, I think, than people were expecting out of the gates.
So it kind of sounds like other teams kind of saw the Golden Knights as a team that didn't quite pay their dues and work their way from the ground up.
Exactly. They didn't go through the same, like, pain and suffering. That first year, they called them the Golden Misfits. So that's the other thing, too, like, about the expansion draft and all that. I always defend them by saying, hey, look, they took other teams' castaways and turned them into a good team. So, like, let's not get hyperbolic here and be like, oh, they had it way too easy. At the end of the day, these are guys that teams didn't want.
I mean, the team is still a great team. And while I might not be a hockey fan, I am a Golden Knights fan. And so I do think, like, we're not annoying fans. I don't think, like, Golden Knights, Las Vegas fans aren't going out there and, like, assaulting or, like, bashing on other teams too much. I think we're just a great team. And so it's really jealousy.
And here's another reason for people to be jealous of us, because it looked like the Knights were going to have a bad season. And so they got rid of their coach, brought in a new coach, and immediately the team started winning again. So the next matchup is Game 2 of the Western Conference Final against the Colorado Avalanche. That's tonight. So you know what? If you want to hate us, come hate us. We're going to win. We turn the season around, and you know what? We're going to start hating some of these other teams.
The other funny thing, too, about this series against the Avs is they're actually the second most hated team in the NHL. So we've got, like, the most hated series going on. It's like the player haters ball of hockey going on in this series right now.
And then the team that wins the title of most hated. I think we should do it that way.
I think that's a good way to put it, yeah. Because in that other series, it's Carolina and Montreal. I don't know how many people are hating on Carolina and Montreal.
The other big story with the Knights this past week, though, was that they got into a little bit of trouble because they didn't talk to the press after a big game. Jesse, why would they even do that and put a draft pick at risk?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different theories out there of why that was. Some of it, you know, in retaliation to Braden McNabb being suspended by the league. Another one was about a lot of the way that the media was treating Mitch Marner, one of their top players, saying they were too hard on him, you know, when he arrived from Toronto and all that stuff. Long story short, it's a stupid move by them because they had just won their previous series and they could have just sat there and celebrated it. And at the end of the day, I understand not wanting to talk to the media at times, but that's how you speak to your fans. And you could have celebrated that moment with your fans through the media. And instead, now you get docked. I think it was $100K to Tortorella and then a draft pick as well. Just a wild move in my mind.
Yeah, reading that was kind of like, why? That was frustrating. Like, why would you even risk that?
And they won. Don't you want to talk about a game you win? It's not like they lost.
Weird timing for sure. That was a wild move by the Golden Knights for sure. I'm sure, a lot of fans, it was tugging at the heartstrings of like, why are you doing that? And speaking of having some heart issues, the Heart Attack Grill is actually now officially gone. You like that transition? That's the news background coming in there, guys. Okay.
There you go.
The downtown Las Vegas staple is famous for its quadruple bypass burgers. You can throw like 40 strips of bacon on that thing or something. It is just wild. The free meals also would go to anybody over 350 pounds. So it's closed after 15 years. Hard to imagine why when that's kind of your play, but it didn't go quietly. On its way out, the restaurant posted a statement blasting Las Vegas for pricing out the middle class and losing its swagger. The owner of Neonopolis says downtown has been slow for months, and the Heart Attack Grill is the latest sign that the area is going through some real changes. Is this a bigger deal than maybe I'm making it out to be? Because for me, I'm just like, well, yeah, okay, downtown just got healthier. I feel for the business, but that was a crazy business model.
I kind of love that you said downtown just got healthier, not because of any decisions people are making about their lifestyle, just because of the pure absence of the Heart Attack Grill. And this place has been around, in my mind, forever. I mean, it hasn't been on Fremont Street forever in the same way the Four Queens has been. But Heart Attack Grill is kind of one of those things that you just kind of identify with the Fremont Street experience.
Definitely.
People know it. It gets a lot of attention. It fully embraced its theme, the scale that you talked about, where people could weigh themselves and maybe get a free meal if they went over 350 pounds was right there in front of the main entrance. So it was very much a photo spot. They had a crazy menu. They would serve burgers that I think you referenced the quintuple bypass burger.
Yeah.
I think it went all the way up to octuple. So you
Which
could
is
stack
insane.
up
What are we
8
doing?
patties. You could have wine, probably cheap wine, served to you in sort of like IV drip bags. When you walked in, you got fitted for a hospital gown. So I think you were required to wear that as you sat down. They were always very strict about their rules. There was a little bit of attitude in the service. And it's funny because I don't think people saw this coming. People just always assumed this was going to be part of Fremont Street. And they didn't announce that they were closing. They announced that they were already closed.
Yeah.
So as documented, rest in peace, Heart Attack Grill, time of death, 9 a.m. Monday.
I think it's such a big deal because of how long it's been there and how many people associate downtown Las Vegas, Fremont Street with Heart Attack Grill. Like, I remember walking Fremont Street as a kid. You can't really go into a lot of places down there because if you're under 21, then, a lot of them are bars or serving alcohol. But I remember we would always stop at the scale and weigh ourselves, and there would be a line of people just wanting to step on the scale for the experience. And there's also, like Rob said, it got a lot of attention. A popular food channel, Beard Meets Food, on YouTube had a really popular video going there and doing their, whatever food challenge they had. And that was recurring. Like, you can probably find videos from last month, even like 2 weeks ago, of people going there and doing their challenge and eating there just for the gimmick. I think the statement was fair about Las Vegas going away from the middle class, but I feel like it might also be just broader trends in America of people trying to eat healthier and going away from that kind of business model of, I think he said, like, eat big and laugh loud. Maybe still laugh loud, but eat not as big.
It was a very spirited announcement, and I'm going to quote this directly. "We're proud of our 21-year impact on America's waistline. The obesity rate has risen from 30% since we opened in 2005 to nearly 45% today, and we pat ourselves on the back for leading the charge."
Look, I give it to him for really leaning into the shtick,
Right.
But does it lean a little too close to home? Does it hit a little too close to home? Because it's one thing when you visit a place like this and you have a laugh and you go, oh, look at all the fatty food and all the calories. But, if you really are worried about the direction your health is going and you see something like this, you might kind of go, maybe this isn't what I want to see in front of me right now. Will I miss them? No. But kind of looking back, I ate there once. I did not enjoy it. But looking back, I'm kind of like, okay, this was a born in Vegas thing. This wasn't a chain from outside. It leaned heavily into a theme. And you know what? I think we need some more themed restaurants out there, especially ones that are strictly identified in Las Vegas. And that restaurant was on prime real estate, pretty much on the corner of Fremont and Las Vegas Boulevard. It was part of the Neonopolis. I'm curious to see what will go in its place, but I can't imagine the rent got any cheaper in recent years.
Yeah.
Oh, no, definitely not. And I think, look, yes, I'm with you, Layla, that it's like people leaning towards healthier lifestyles and stuff. But at the same time, we can't be up here like clutching our pearls because our city was built on taking money out of people's pockets by gambling. And then also we, embrace the party culture and everything. So why do we draw the line at like eating all of this wild food and super calorie dense food? And this is me talking as a guy who's as health conscious as they come. So I can see why he's like, hey, what the hell? Like, why did Vegas all of a sudden lose its sense of humor over us,
Well, if you still love Heart Attack Grill, or if you miss it already, the owner of the Heart Attack Grill does have a second business here in town. It's called Snappy Burger. And it's a little west of downtown. It's kind of a cool little drive-in burger joint that actually has a little drive-in theater in the parking lot. And I hadn't heard of this place lately, so I kind of wanted to check in and make sure it's still open. It's very much still open. And according to their Instagram, Apocalypse Now is running every night at 10 p.m. So you know what? go see a movie, eat a burger, and relive all the glory that you missed from the closure of Heart Attack Grill.
Are they going to have the quadruple bypass burger?
You know what? I think you can get a double, and that's about what you're going to get.
So even though we're drawing the line there, like I do think the owner has a point of like bringing back something for the middle class customer. So how can we do that, especially too down in Fremont area?
Well, the real question is what's going to replace Heart Attack Grill? My vote is Ozempic Island, where you have to show.
Look what you did. Look what you did.
That is not for middle class.
No, of course it is. You show your prescription to enter. It's almost like a speakeasy, like a password. You show your Ozempic prescription. They sit you down, and you get a very limited portion, the opposite of Heart Attack Grill.
I think what needs to replace Heart Attack Grill, but also for the middle class, something free, like a free dance party, people coming out of Fremont East, just like stumbling in drunk. Let them have a free dance party, do a free disco, like theme it as going back to the 80s. I don't know. But I think whatever goes there has to be free. And to Rob's point, I do think Heart Attack Grill was themed really well, which is something that we're losing in Vegas. Places are getting really corporate and losing their identity. So whatever does replace it needs to be one, free, two, have a really good theme.
I think downtown Las Vegas too, leans into like the old Vegas feel. So like bring something back that brings back those type of vibes, that leans into like the heyday of Vegas, the mob Vegas. Maybe the mob museum can get involved a little bit and bring back like a mob themed restaurant that you could really lean into that style. I don't know. I just want something that's like nostalgic.
I think you've hit on something, and I've got the perfect idea. This is the name of the restaurant, 99-cent shrimp cocktail. That's just the name of the restaurant. That's the menu. That's all it is. This is what people want. They will come back for this and embrace it. You'll have to fill in that entire dining room with seats and tables because people are going to come for the one item only. No drinks, no water, just 99-cent shrimp cocktail.
All right, so now it's time for our members only segment. Today we're talking about NV Energy's new long-term plan. But again, you're only going to have access to this segment if you become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor. So if you want to hear our take on NV Energy and their new plans and how it impacts you as a Las Vegan, go to membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas to sign up and become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor. All right, Rob, Layla, I think we did a great job wrapping everything up from the week that was. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you. I give it a solid A+.
I like
Thanks,
it.
guys.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our executive producer is Layla Muhammad. Our creative producer is Jacob Solis. Our newsletter editor is Rob Kachelriess. And I'm your host, Jesse Merrick. Music is by OG Moose, Epidemic Sound, Carl Christensen, All the Kimonos, and Los Mocachetes, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. We record this show on the traditional homelands of the Nuuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our free morning newsletter too. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. We'll be back Tuesday morning with more news from around the city. Until then, though, take care and enjoy your weekend.